feeling like I'm academics. Can't ride away.
I'm going to break down some of the new happenings. You know, we did a 10-hour stream yesterday. We went through the indictment. You know, unfortunately, a lot of things I said yesterday happen to be right. Now, initially, I'd address and normally address some of the low IQ people. I've seen a few people on Instagram, and I've seen also some people just misguided. And, you know, I could take this opportunity to blast them, but I don't think they deserve. I feel like sometimes they try to bait me out. Like, you know that little DJ head fool, like, and nothing with him with this, but after he baited me out to violate him, he was like, oh, thank you for the attention. Like, yo, we weren't doing that good. You gave us attention. So you get to realize these guys are insincere. You know, they're just hating because, you know, with all due respect, we're number one. So I got to start picking and choosing. I'm trying to get a little bit better at it. But I did see a few people who were disingenuous haters, and people were saying Akademiks was doing police work. I do want to say, if anybody's in this live stream who think Akademiks is doing the work of the police, I want you to leave immediately, now. This is an indictment. We're decoding what the police already know. They're not going to present their hand all the way till trial and through a discovery, but we are avid listeners, avid fans. We're trying to figure out what happened. I've always told y'all, I don't think, you know, there is no room for gangster shit online. So for the people who have that thought about police shit happening, you shouldn't be online if you think you're that gangster anyway. I'll digress from that, but for anyone who, because I've seen some people said Akademiks solved the crime. The crime was already solved. I didn't solve a crime. What I did was decode what the cops are saying in legalese, and we decoded what is going on, who's probably telling, and what they allege. We don't know if it's true. We still got to have a trial if it's going to get there. So I just want to get that out of the air first. We found out yesterday, unfortunately, on stream, that Durk Banks, okay, was arrested. And he was booked in the Broward County Jail. And we found out that the charge he was being held on was a murder for hire charge. Unfortunately, our worst fears seemingly was confirmed, because when we went over the details, I'm going to give you a real quick crash course if you didn't watch yesterday's 10-hour stream. We read through an entire indictment. It's about like 18 pages or so. It detailed someone put money on the head of Quando Rondo for a retaliation murder that was supposed to be revenge for the death of King Von. They got a drop from someone about Quando being in LA at some downtown hotel, and a lot of things then happened. We got a bunch of names who were arrested, 5 names. You can see their mugshots. 3 of the mugshots here. This is OTF Didi. I think this is Kavon Grant. And I forgot this guy's name right here. This is OTF Boogie. So this is OTF Didi, OTF Vonnie, and OTF Boogie. But we know this goes much deeper. There's a lot of things to really unpack. Now, we did get some additional information today, and we're going to go over that. But I was a little bit shocked. And Whack 100 came on here, and he said, yo, Durk got picked up. The reason why I was a little bit skeptical was that I know sometimes people get cynical and, you know, people tie every crime. I mean, people are tying, you know, even loosely the death of FBG Duck to Durk, even though, you know, that would have been more tied to Vaughn, but Vaughn died. So people, you know, people get a little cynical. So I was a little bit skeptical. The reason why I was skeptical is that they dropped an indictment, and even though they seemingly referred to Durk, who I believed at the time to be co-conspirator 1, they didn't put his name in there, and he wasn't charged in that indictment. So I thought, all right, maybe he gets charged later in a superseding indictment. But until then, he's going to be free. And that's why I was utterly shocked when I realized that he was He was arrested that night while we were on stream. Now, we're going to get into why that happened. But what's very important, and let me catch you up to speed, then we're going to go back slightly to get you up with all the details. Yes, we're going to get into some of the conspiracies or rumors about who's telling and when they told and this and third. We're going to get into that. We're hearing that there is a lot more other things the feds are looking at. I've been given some details that the feds are trying to resurrect other cases that, notoriously Chicago police, they don't do too much investigation. They do cold cases all the time. There are apparently a few other bodies that they're looking at to see if they could add to a superseding indictment. They're looking at a few other people. Also, they're looking at the case that came out of Atlanta, the one that involved Vaughn. Don't know if any of those will be resurrected or added to a superseding indictment, but let me give you the current update on what's going on. The current update is that Durk got locked up last night. He got locked up around the corner from a private jet airport that he had a flight headed for Italy. He was arrested and booked in Broward County Jail. And this morning, he saw a magistrate judge who didn't deal with bond or deal with anything else, but was going to deal with the issue of extradition. Durk waived his right to have a hearing, and he is basically conceded, and this is how usually people do it to speed up the process, or else they're going to have you locked in Broward and do a hearing that you're probably going to lose. So he says, it's fine. I will be under the custody of the U.S. Marshals, that they could take me back to California, and California is a jurisdiction where he will be standing trial for murder for hire, plus other things, and who knows what else in that unsealed indictment. So that happened then. The urgency of him being locked up last night, we're going to get to. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty of what's going on. So once again, 5 individuals were charged. Police did a search of their homes, their residences, confiscated phones, confiscated personal items, confiscated electronic devices that they felt were going to be instrumental in proving that this case was a murder for hire, that these guys and the 5 guys that were involved were supposedly the hirees. There are a few other people, and remember, most of them were said to be co-conspirators. As I said, I believe Durk was the co-conspirator 1, who they thought was the boss. When that happened, we're reading the whole thing, they got Durk. So let's get to the hearing this morning, and let's figure out what happened. Now, chat, once again, I don't know if you guys have checked it out. The Academy.blog, please go here. If you guys care to read in full or download any of these documents that I've gotten, most of the time, sometimes I'll get it from lawyers. Sometimes federal agents will just like send it, or sometimes I'll just pull it myself or some other people on the team, right? So if you guys care about, we're going to go over everything, so you don't necessarily need to do it. But if you care about reading yourself, go to this website and become a member, right? So Durk was arrested by the U.S. Marshals. The holding charge is murder for hire after 5 OTF affiliates have been charged. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Have been charged federally as well. Okay. Let's get to the document. And I'm going to break this down for y'all. Again, if you want this whole document, this document is going to be available on the academy.blog. Just give me 1 second. Where we go. Cool. All right. Now, I'm going to give you a lot of information. Just stay tuned, right? And just kind of just give this the understanding that it deserves. Hold on. Here we go. All right. So here we go. We have so when Durk went to court today, Durk got this. Now let me help explain to you what this is. And this is all going to make sense. Now, unfortunately, I feel like I'm like a ghetto lawyer. I keep saying that. We've had Myron on here, who's a former HSI agent. He's explained a bunch of stuff on how, these things happen. And at this point, I've done my research, too. I kind of understand. I was actually even trying to get Myron on here, too. If I can, I know he does a lot of stuff. We'll bring him in. But let me explain what this is. So this is a criminal complaint. And let me tell you what a criminal complaint usually means. So in federal court, the most likely way where you get charged with a crime, because they don't pick up petty crimes, is usually via what's called a grand jury. A grand jury convenes. They listen to evidence that a AUSA presents to them. And once they listen to the evidence, they're going to come back with what's called a true bill or a no bill. A true bill means there is probable cause to charge this individual with the crime, which means they need to go to trial to prove beyond a reasonable doubt if they did it or they did not. A grand jury only means there is probable cause. It's actually a very low standard. Probable cause just kind of means where there's smoke, there's fire. It's not that high. Why? That's why a lot of people feel like a grand jury will indict anybody, if that makes sense to y'all. Now, they went for a grand jury, and I'll go to here. They went for a grand jury to get the other 5. You're going to see it here. Hold on. Sorry, chat. The other 5, you're going to see June 2024 grand jury. That means they got these arrest warrants. So the process is you need an indictment. That triggers an arrest warrant once the judge signs off on it. And then you get to lock the person up and go through the process. But most of all, people do this through a grand jury for big cases. Now, granted, if you are traveling on an interstate and you get pulled over, sometimes they'll have federal agents, right? Say a DEA agent that pulls you over and you're driving a semi-truck and you got a bunch of kilos of coke. They're not going to grand jury you for that. He's going to do a criminal complaint. When you get pulled over by the cops, your local cops, your municipal cops, your state police, there is no grand jury for usually grand juries they're only going to look at something that's really a felony. But police officers on the state and county level and city level, they're going to just do a complaint that they sign off on. Once it gets to serious charges, they want to get a grand jury because it's a lesser of a possibility to get thrown out because basically a group of peers agreed, on a majority vote that there is a probable cause for that person to go to a trial. Okay? So I'm hoping I'm explaining some of this, that I need to get everybody up to speed, that when we start talking, this is like a class. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like this is a class. I got to make sure everybody understands because we're going to get into some of the woods of what's going on. It's going to make y'all understand everything, okay? By the way, you're probably not going to get a better and more in-depth understanding of this case from other than maybe some legal actual experts than what we're going to do. So these guys get grand jury indicted. So it's a little odd when you look at Durk. It's not necessarily an indictment. It's a criminal complaint. So remember, there's no grand jury. Now, what's important to know is that this was a criminal complaint by telephone or other reliable electronic means. What that means is that someone called a judge. A federal officer called a judge last night because they thought Durk was getting on a plane. And this is why I always said that what Vlad kept saying about Diddy should leave the country. Like, bro, they're watching Diddy. They don't need a grand jury to do. As soon as you're about to leave, they're gonna just go get this. They're gonna call a federal magistrate, and the magistrate is gonna be like, "Hey, listen, we think you about to run. Sign this paper now." They're gonna sign it. They're gonna lock you up. That's all they need. That's all they need. So if they thought Diddy was ever gonna run, they'll have local authorities do a traffic stop or something, hold him up for a bit. They think you're gonna run. They call into a judge. Hey, judge. Hey, this is our case so far, blah, blah. We need to get to the grand jury. We think this nigga is about to dip out of the country. We need a criminal complaint. So this is important. You'll notice there is no case number because this is not something that came down before. Now, there is something that's going to be an indictment that probably a grand jury has sat on and listened to about Durk, but that wasn't ready yet. And they had to get Durk before he got out the country. So I believe the feds were following him. And when they realized he was about to leave, they did the last step they could do, which is a criminal complaint to get him locked up. So you'll see the complaint. So this is, by the way, let me zoom in a little bit more that we all could be on the same page. The complaint. So the complaints, wow. This is actually kind of cool. Well, not really, but. So the officer, and let me tell you how the feds work too. Compared to state police and city police, there's a lot more of those than feds. A lot of times when the feds are running a investigation, they will link up with, like, for example, NYPD. They will link up with NYPD and deputize some of NYPD officers to operate as federal officers. That's how they move. So they give state officers or whatever, city officers, federal powers that they could operate as federal officers, which means including a criminal complaint. Anyway, so they redacted the person's name. Why? This cop who was probably tailing him or detective or whoever it was probably works for Broward or works in Miami or something like that, right? They're not trying to put that person out there. So that's why they redacted it. Actually, never mind. Oh, here's a complaint. Never mind. Printed name. I don't know. Well, why'd they redact this? Sarah Karakin? All right, give me 1 second. This is a complaint. Sarah Karakin. Let's see if we can figure out who that is. We'll find her LinkedIn. So we'll figure out who was tailing Durk last night. Sarah Karakin. Enforcement. No. It has to be in law enforcement, Florida. Has to be in Florida, right? Did I spell it right? Hold on, let me make this a little bit bigger. Actually, let me just full screen this bitch. All right, here we go. Okay, cool. Yeah, Sarah Karakin. Let me figure out who that is. Sarah Karakin. Oh, no, Corkin. Corcoran. All right. By the way, the reason why it's important for us to figure out who this person is. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I can't find her. Who's this person? It's probably some type of cop. They probably work for Florida. I'm trying to figure out who they are. Can't find it. Let me just search LinkedIn. Oh, there's mad, like... It doesn't matter who she is, really, but I'm just trying to be a little bit... I like to figure out all the fucking... All right, I can't find it. If I take some more time, I will. Anyway, here's the point. So, they clearly had Durk under surveillance, right? And they literally just write up a complaint. She signs it, and then she calls a magistrate judge, which is Stephanie. Oh my God. Let me see if I can get this a little bit better. No, what the fuck? All right. Okay. So here we go. Sorry. So they literally call up a magistrate judge, and the magistrate judge is this person who signs it off to say lock him up, right? This happened yesterday. By the way, this happened an hour. I'm telling you this now. This happens an hour before he was supposed to get on a private jet. This is kind of odd. I ain't gonna lie to you. Okay, so here it goes. This is the affidavit. Now, maybe this person's name isn't the name, because why are they redacting it if this is supposed to be the signature? I don't know. This is odd. It's a little bit odd. Anyway, whoever the federal officer is, I blah blah duly sworn declare and state the following. This affidavit is made in support of a criminal complaint and an arrest warrant against Durk Banks. So they put a criminal complaint with an arrest warrant, known as Little Durk, aka Mustafa Abdul Muluk. Wow, did Durk change his name? Okay. For a violation of 18 USC 1958, which is a conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death. The facts set forth in this affidavit are based upon my personal observations, okay? Which means this is how you know that this is an agent that's been on this case heavy. My training and experience and my information obtained from various law enforcement personnel and witnesses. This affidavit is intended to show merely that there is sufficient probable cause for the requested complaint and warrant, and does not purport to set forth all of my knowledge or investigation into this matter, unless specifically indicated otherwise. All conversation and statements described in this affidavit are related in substance and in part only. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Sorry. All right, I just want to make sure we can see. All right, perfect. So there's a background that is all redacted. I'm wondering why, but here's the probable cause, right? So remember, a grand jury would analyze probable cause. That's also what they need for this criminal complaint. Probable cause, however, is really based on this officer's testimony and them basically swearing with their life, writing this up. Now they're gonna reference the other investigation that was grand juried, but whatever. So it says Banks, which is Durk, is a leader of the Chicago-based rap collective known as Only the Family, or OTF. In addition to OTF's status as a rap collective, I know, based on the investigation, that OTF acts as an association, in fact, of individuals who engage in violence, which, by the way, that's a very interesting sentence. Why is this not a RICO? That sounds like you're about to RICO somebody. They're saying OTF is just, OTF acts as an association, in fact, of individuals who, they're saying basically people in OTF do a lot of violence, include murder and assault at the direction of Banks, and to maintain their status in OTF. Now, this line literally is speaking towards basically almost saying there's a RICO coming. You're literally saying OTF is an organization that carries out murders and violence at the behest and the direction of the boss, which is Durk Banks, aka Lil Durk. For example, based on the evidence collected during the investigation, including the interview of the witness, I know that Banks put a monetary bounty. By the way, you see, this is a criminal complaint that this officer is testifying to damn near, in written form. That's why they keep saying I. For example, based on the evidence collected during the investigation, including the interview of witnesses. By the way, there's a footnote here. Footnote says 1. Let's read the footnote. Due to serious safety concerns, this affidavit does not provide the identity of the witnesses. Based on the FBI's investigation, I know that the witnesses and or their family members have already received threats and or have been contacted in what appears to attempts to influence their participation in the investigation. This tells us a lot. It's a loaded statement. Basically says that they believe that Durk was at least in the know that they were investigating this crime, and Durk was reaching out to people Remember, this guy died like, I believe, like 2 years ago now. Yeah, this guy died like 2 years ago, right? But they're saying that Lil Pop died 2 years ago, I believe. They're saying that Durk was calling people around, or somebody close to Durk was saying, hey, yo, make sure you don't talk, make sure you don't cooperate. So Durk wasn't blindsided. They basically say that Durk was just trying to intimidate people and threaten people to not cooperate. Okay, so let's go back. It says, I know that Durk Banks put a monetary bounty out for an individual who Banks had a feud with named TB. TB is Taekwon Bowman. As detailed below, on August 19th, multiple OTF members and associates used 2 vehicles and worked in tandem to track, stalk, and attempt to murder TB at a gas station located in Los Angeles, California. The co-conspirators fired at least 18 rounds at TB's vehicle, striking and killing SR, which is TB's cousin, Lil Pop, TB's family member who was traveling with TB. On October 17, 2024, a grand jury sitting in the Central District of California. So actually, I was wrong about that. You know, this other thing that said, hold on. This other thing that said grand jury was in June. So the grand jury convened in June. Okay, so this wasn't when they came down with it. They convened in June, and 10/17 is when they presented. So a presentment is usually when the grand jury says they're going to present it to the court. That's also held in secret until the indictment is served. And even then when it's served, it could still be sealed. So anyway, so they were listening from June 2024, and from June, July, August, September, October, a 5-month investigation. They finally came back with a decision on the 17th, and that's when it was filed, right? But it was filed under seal, okay? By the way, also, there's some issue with the sealing of this as well, because one of the courts turned it down. I'll get to that later. That's a little bit more of a nuanced thing. This is why they had to lock these guys up. If you ask me, I think the feds didn't want to lock none of them up. They wanted Durk to do some other bullshit, even though seemingly maybe he wasn't going to do no other bullshit because he's been really into the Lord, right? Okay, let's get back to this. So great. All right, cool. So on October 17th, the grand jury sitting in Central District of California returned an indictment charging 5 co-conspirators, Kevon London Grant, Dontrell Wilson, and Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and Asa Houston, with crimes arising from the murder, including for murder for hire and conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in death in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1958, C, blah, blah, blah. So they reference the actual other case. The case number is blah, blah, blah. Banks is identified as co-conspirator 1. So chat, this is not something I'm going to take pleasure in. Oh, I'm right. But like, unfortunately, when we broke it down yesterday and we said co-conspirator 1 seems like the boss, if that was someone that we could think of, it's Durk. They now finally say it. Durk Banks is co-conspirator 1 in the indictment, which is incorporated herein by reference. And now they're going to be referencing that indictment. They said, based on the investigation and described below, the evidence shows that Banks ordered Taekwon Bowman's murder, which is Quan Arando's murder, and the hitman used Banks and OTF-related finances. Now, this is, I'm telling you, we might get the RICO. We don't know. But we're going to see on the superseding indictment, right? To carry out the murder. For example, bank and flight records show an OTF member and close associate of Banks, co-conspirator 3, we all know that's the Booker, coordinated and paid for Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and another OTF member, co-conspirator 2. Okay, co-conspirator 2. So now we find out a little bit more about co-conspirator 2 because he's not named. Co-conspirator 2 is also OTF member. Now, it's a little odd that he's the only one not named, but I've gone already to say I believe co-conspirator 2 is cooperating. That's why his name is not mentioned yet. So I believe co-conspirator 2 is snitching, and now we get to find out he's an OTF member based on what they just said. So it paid for all these people to travel from Chicago to California on the day before the murder, and co-conspirator paid for the flights using a credit card linked to Banks, and OTF. Now, this is kind of crazy because you're going to see a couple lines later, Durk allegedly told him, yo, don't book no flights under no names associated with me. And they clearly booked a flight. They might have thought that because it says OTF on the card and the card is in their name, it doesn't link to Durk, but Durk owns the brand of OTF. And I'm pretty sure it's like, for example, I could give out 15 DJ Akademiks LLC cards, right? Because that's my company. And I could give out one to my assistant. I could give out one to this and third. However, the account that the money's getting pulled from when they use that business card is still mine. Even if that card goes on their name in terms of, it's like you're working for Apple. Like, or you ever see somebody with a business card? Like, okay, you work for Apple, you have an Apple business card. Maybe an expense card or whatever the case is. Yeah, it's not your account. So, like, it's still attached to Apple. So maybe the dudes who did this think, okay, we're not going to use Durk Banks card, but we're going to use so-and-so card that's not Durk Banks. It's still linked to Durk because it's his account. Anyway, around the time Co-conspirator 3 purchased Co-conspirator's flight to California, iCloud records showed that a phone number associated with Banks texted Co-conspirator 3, don't book no flights under no names involved with me. Additionally, on the same day that the hitman traveled from California to Chicago, to California from Chicago, Banks traveled to California with another charged conspirator, Grant, on a private jet. Now, this is important. And by the way, this is why this complaint has given us more details. We didn't know that Durk was actually in L.A. Now we find out Durk was in L.A. Durk, now it makes sense because I was saying, why was Grant flying on why would you fly your shooter on a private jet? But you get to realize Durk was flying to L.A. So Durk was on that jet. And he brought one of the guys, which is Grant, on the jet with him. Later that day, Grant purchased ski mask, which we now know from the other indictment, or the indictment, because this is not indictment, this is a complaint. He purchased ski mask with cash for the shooters to use to commit the murder and paid for the other co-conspirators' hotel room using a credit card in Banks' name. Now, I really think, I'm really giving some credit, or I'm going to act like these OTF guys can't be possibly this stupid. And I don't think Durk name is on these credit cards. What I personally believe it is that it is a business card. But again, you could have a business card in other people's names. However, it's still pulling from the same business account. The way how the government's going to look at it is that these are Durk Bank funds. So even if you have your personal name on the card, because that's your personal card to use from the business card, from the business, it's still not your funds. It's the funds of the business, which is owned by Durk Banks. Because this kind of doesn't make sense. Like, why would y'all, if he's telling you I don't put no flights under my name, why would y'all use credit cards with his name on it? Maybe they were thinking, oh, the business card got my name on it, so that's not Durk. But it's pulling from Durk's account because he owns the OTF account. Right? Earlier this morning, October 24, 2024, federal and local law enforcement executed multiple search warrants at locations associated with OTF in and around the Chicago area. So, wow. They went to Chicago, start kicking down doors. They arrested Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston. After executing the warrants, the FBI learned that Banks had been booked on at least 3 international flights. Wow, this is important, chat. They made this a little bit smaller there. I could see it fully without the chat being in the way. So, after executing the warrants, the FBI learned that Banks had been booked on at least 3 international flights scheduled to leave the United States today. When Banks arrived near one of the departing airports, he was arrested by law enforcement personnel. So now here's some more. Here's a statement of probable cause. Based on my training experience and personal involvement in this investigation, conversations with other law enforcement officers, witness statements, and a review of the reports and other documents prepared by law enforcement officers, I'm aware of the following. By the way, chat, is my voice loud enough, or is my voice low? Let me know if I got to fix the mic. Please let me know if I got to fix the mic. I'm good? All right. So here's A, and these are the probable cause. On October 17th, the grand jury returned an indictment charging Grant Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston with murder for hire and conspiracy to commit murder for hire, resulting in the death of Lil Pob in violation of this statute, which is the discharge of firearm and machine gun in furtherance of a crime, resulting in the death in violation of blah, blah. The grand jury also charged Jones with possession of a machine gun, which is the guy with... So now we find out Jones is the guy with the switch. Let me write that down on my notes. Jones, guy with the switchy. Okay. Remember, Grant is the one who handed out the guns to everyone, handed out 3 guns, supposedly. Well, didn't say 3 guns, but handed out guns. All right. Okay. The grand jury charged him with machine gun. As alleged in the indictment, on August 19th, a rap artist known as Quando Rondo were near the vehicle at a gas station across from the Beverly Center in Los Angeles when 3 gunmen opened fire on the vehicle, killing Lil Pob. Law enforcement personnel subsequently recovered 18 shell casings. Let me write that down. This is 18 shell cases recovered. Okay. Wow. I'm actually surprised there's only 18 shell casings recovered. You have a guy with a switch. You have 2 other shooters. If everybody's shooting, shit, most of, like, a Glock's going to have, 15 in it, right? I'm actually, well, depends on the clip, but still, let's say 15. If everybody dumped and there's a nigga with the switch, I'm surprised it's only 18. I would think there would be like 50, 60. Okay, so 18 shells recovered, but we never know. We don't know nothing about shell catchers, and also who knows if, well, they weren't near a car, so the shells definitely would eject and would be on the ground. So it looked like they didn't shoot that many times, but, and I'm saying this reasonably, right? Like 18 times is a lot of times, but it's 3 shooters, 3 guns, right? If everybody emptied the clip, you would at least expect at least 30, right? Cool. All right. Yeah, 18 shell cases were recovered. At the time of the murder, TB had a public feud with Banks, aka Lil Durk. Banks is a Chicago-based gang member, leader of the rap collective known as Only the Family, or OTF. The feud stemmed from a November 6th murder where an associate of TB shot and killed an OTF rapper named Davon Bennett, aka King Von. Hold on, let me make this a little bit bigger. I'll strain your eyes. Bennett was a member of the OTF and Banks' close friend, according to open source reporting and witnesses. Banks, what does this mean? According to open source reporting and witnesses, Banks placed a monetary bounty on TB's life. Let's go here. Wow, okay. Based on open source resource, I know that Banks has attempted to publicly distance himself from the suspected gang or criminal activity. Ooh. See example. Wow. So where they put 2. So 2 was give me a second. Where's that? Okay. So even though they say, so they put a footnote to this. At the time, he had a public feud. Taekwon Bowman, Quando had a public feud with Banks. Banks is a Chicago gang member and leader of the rap collective, blah, blah. They then say that based on open source research, I know that Banks has attempted to publicly distance himself from the suspected gang and or criminal activity. See example, Lil Durk launches a Durk Banks Scholarship Fund at Howard University with Amazon Music. Let's go look at that. That's going to be... So they're essentially referencing this right here. This is probably buried. We can't find it anymore. Let's just try to find it on Google. Yeah, here we go. So this is 2023. So they're even footnoting something from 2023. The video is removed. Let me see if we can find the video somewhere else. Oh, so he gave out $50,000 checks. Banks, okay. Durk answered Billboard. Did you ever want to go to college or think about what life could look like if you went to college? I said, yeah, I always thought about it. It's never too late for me. Damn. They still going to school. I got my GD. Book shipped in like 2 days ago. I just want to get knowledge, right? I just want to get okay. So they're talking about him seemingly disassociating himself and trying to like look differently. When are we getting the Voice 2.0? What could fans expect? It's coming. I promise you. When it drop, I'm gonna give y'all therapy. All the things going on and the world wondering. I'm gonna give them the truth and the facts on this album. It's gonna be mind blowing. You're gonna do a U-turn. This is gonna be like our breakthrough. Say no pressure. Okay, cool. All right. All right. So they basically said that he was making an attempt to distance himself. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They actually even say it. Okay, cool. Give me 1 second, chat. All right, bet. Here it is. Then rapper Durk. They're also quoting something else. Rapper Durk turned to therapy to cope with tragedies available at an LA Times article. Rapper Durk. Let me just turn this ad blocker off. Rapper Durk lost numerous friends and loved ones to violence. To cope, he turned to therapy, right? Days before realizing his 8th studio album, Almost Healed, he cooled out at the FaZe Clan Fairfax warehouse and game in an office playground where the Twitch stream room sits 6 feet away from blah, blah, blah. Okay. He says, everything I do, Okay. Therapy is a new concept for the 30-year-old Banks. When asked about who he'd leaned on in the past when go through hardships, Allah is his one-word answer. But earlier this year, he made the decision to seek professional help for the first time. On a microphone, I'm just having fun, rapping about whatever I'm going through. He says, in therapy, I'm going into the details of why or when or how. Almost Healed is projected to, okay. Wow. Then 3 is here, right? Oh, and by the way, it says Lil Durk. The next one is Lil Durk is not a felon anymore. His criminal record is cleared. Everyone should get a second chance. This was a complex article. And it says Lil Durk says he ain't a felon anymore after his criminal record is cleared. Everyone should get a second chance. Okay. He says everybody should get a second chance at life. It's about you do with it. Alhamdulillah. I think that I said that right. Sorry. My background's wiped and clean of all cases. I ain't a felon no more. Who would have thought? I want to thank everyone who helped push my vision forward. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. The Voice. Wow. He said this 9/22, which, by the way, ironically, is a month ago. Right? So they point out in the indictment, even a month ago, he's trying to disassociate himself from all that. Cool. All right. Let's get back up here. Where's the footnote? Okay. All right. The feud stemmed from, all right, we already read that. Based on, all right, yeah, we read that already. Based on the investigation to date, sorry, I know y'all can't see it. Based on the investigation to date, including open source research, my training and experience investigating gangs and violent crime, and the witness statement, OTF is a hybrid. Ooh, it's a hybrid organization that functions as a bank-led music collective and a gang. This is sounding like they have a RICO cooking up that when he gets to Cali, they're going to hit him with. It feels like it. Feels like it. Or that might come later because they might be analyzing murders and shooting from a long time ago. Who knows? Based on the investigation and data, including conversations with other law enforcement agents and witness statements, Houston and Wilson, and by the way, here's the thing too about 3, right? 3 is here. It says, as described in footnote 1, due to significant concerns about witness safety. So again, they're admitting that there's a witness, right? They're literally admitting they said, according to open source report and witnesses, Banks placed monetary bounty on Quando's life. Then they say, as described in footnote 1, due to significant concern about witness safety, this affidavit does not provide the identity of these witnesses. So they're basically saying there's a witness, right? So the witness corroborate that Banks put money on Quando's head. Okay. Whatever, including conversation with other law enforcement agents and witness statements. Houston and Wilson are associated with OTF. Lindsay and Jones are associated with other gangs in Chicago. Okay. It said the hitmen traveled using funds linked to Banks. I know the following based on my review of LAPD police reports. So LAPD kind of conducted this, probably at the behest of some federal agent who probably was deputized or was running a task force there. The LAPD did reports. surveillance footage, bank and flight records. So they clearly did some subpoenas, either to like United or American Airline or Southwest or whatever they fly, JetBlue. And they also got bank records, which you could imagine, hey, Chase, give that up. Get that up. Come on. All right, we the feds. They're not going to play around with that. Witness statements. We already know there's witnesses. And homicide detectives from the LAPD and federal investigations involved in this case. On August 18th, 2022, the day before Lil Pop's murder, OTF members learned of the location of TB from longtime OTF affiliate. Ooh, here we go, Chad. This is an affiliate. So now we get a little bit more about Co-conspirator 4. Remember I told you Co-conspirator 4 seems like a LA nigga that is cool with them? Think about it. LA nigga cool with them, but he's not OTF. He's an affiliate, but he's not OTF. He's a longtime OTF affiliate. Who could that be? It shouldn't be that hard to figure out. The nigga lives in LA. The nigga's an affiliate of OTF, and it says long time affiliate. So he don't claim OTF, but he's been fucking with him for a long time. And he's probably from LA. Come on. We'll get back to that. After the OTF members learned of this, the following men took the one-way flight. So basically, I'm going to be honest with you, chat. So they learned of the location of TB from longtime OTF affiliate Co-conspirator 4. Co-conspirator 4 has got to be cooperating. He's telling. He's snitching. He has to be. Because without him, this murder doesn't happen. He's the one who made the drop. He gave the call. So the day before, August 18, he basically called people saying, yo, check this out. Quando's staying here. If this is a conspiracy for murder and a conspiracy for murder for hire, how is he not charged? So it tells me this person is going to be rolling up in another indictment later on. And by the way, here's the thing, too. He might be in cuffs already, and he's cooperating. We don't know. Now, I know some of y'all are saying, brick baby. That's, sometimes we find out that it's not the names we know, it's the name we don't know, or sometimes it might be something we don't really. From what I know, Brick Baby's free. I think Co-conspirator 4, he's either locked up, or he's cooperating, all right? So we'll figure it out. Anyway, after OTF members learned of this, the following men took a one-way flight from Chicago to San Diego: Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and Co-conspirator 2, right? Remember, Co-conspirator 2, he's a OTF member as well. The one-way tickets from San Diego were purchased using an American Express. Come on, man. You got to love that Amex card, man. The credit card ended in 2039 and in the name of Co-conspirator 3. Now, remember, it's a business card, so it's in the Co-conspirator 3's name, but the bank account is in Durk's name, right? Where the funds are coming from, or the actual overall umbrella account, right? Who's associated with OTF and Banks based on the records from Apple. Oh, what the fuck? Apple? What? Now, I'm stopping there. I'm gonna tell you why. Notoriously, Apple doesn't cooperate with law enforcement. They won't even help law enforcement crack into your phone. They've went to court about it, saying, "Hey, if we tell you how to crack into iPhones, we're releasing trade secrets that are going to give our competitors an unfair advantage on us. So we're never going to tell you." So they don't really cooperate, but clearly they cooperated. Let me stop before I get there. It says based on records from Apple. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Now, here's the thing. Notoriously, Apple won't let people, if your phone is locked, you got a passcode on it, they won't give like a master unlock code to the feds to just unlock any iPhone, because they need their customers and the customers need to trust Apple. But here's the thing. If they get a subpoena for your iCloud, and here's the thing, Apple owns iCloud, they don't really guarantee you that they'll never let nobody into your iCloud. Make sense? Yo, we sell iPhones for a living. We always say Apple Music is cool. They sell some headphones, they sell some AirPods, but they make their money off of this right here, right? This right here is the moneymaker for Apple. They refuse, and they've gone to court, spent tens of millions of dollars in legal fees. They say they will not give the feds a master unlock code for any iPhone. And even if they're petitioned for any iPhone, they still will say you can't get it. This is why the feds use cops use to crack iPhones. I'm gonna tell you what they use. They use Cellbrite. Cellbrite's actually a whole company that they primarily work with law enforcement. Okay, They only work with law enforcement. And by the way, to try to combine a few stories that you guys could make sense of it, this is how Young Thug slipped under the radar before. Cellbrite, because Apple doesn't give nobody the keys to their phone. So Cellbrite, every time there's a new iPhone, they try to crack it, and apparently it takes them about 6 months, like about 6 to 8 months to crack, or to be able to, it's not really crack, be able to get into the phone to get the data of every new iPhone. And it's a process every new iPhone. Thug back in the day, Young Thug cell phone. It was, his cell phone was thrown out, right? Young Thug's cell phone was thrown out because when they seized Young Thug's phone back in the day, the cops couldn't get into it. Remember, Apple's not going to help get into the iPhone. Now, again, here's the tricky part. Your iCloud, they don't care about. I think they don't care about. But the phone, they're not going to help you with. They go to Cellbrite. Cellbrite tells them, yo, we don't know how to get it. Thug has a new iPhone. So for all you criminals, I don't like giving y'all like advice, but if you ever want to skate on that technicality Thug skated on, make sure you're always getting a new iPhone, because it takes the cops about 8 months to get into that bitch. You get what I'm saying? So like the new 16, was it 16 or whatever that just came out? Probably, I don't know if Cellbrite has cracked it yet, but like it's gonna take a while, right? Now here's the thing: you gotta get that phone suppressed before they get into it. That's the problem. The thing with Thug, because they couldn't get into the phone and they executed a search warrant, Brian Steele did a motion to squash and to quell the evidence, so it was quelled, and it was actually ordered that the phone should be returned to Thug since they couldn't get into it. They couldn't go to the judge and say, hey, judge, we can't get into it. We need more time for Cellbrite to finally figure it out. No. The judge ordered, you guys can't find nothing? Give the phone back, whatever. They didn't give the phone back yet, right? So it wasn't ordered to give the phone back. It just said that, hey, we're going to squash all this evidence. But then Thug had to bring them to court to get the phone back, actually. Anyway, they didn't get the phone back. Later, Cellbrite comes to Thug and says, yo, no, not the Thug, comes to the prosecutors and say, we know how to get in the phone now. So they get in the phone, they find all type of incriminating shit on Thug, and they try to use it as evidence, but then Thug's lawyer said, yo, judge, you told them to give the phone back, and they went in the phone after the date you told them to give it back. Like, that's illegal. And essentially, whatever they found on the phone, which was supposedly mad incriminating shit, never could be used in court. That was a huge win for Young Thug. You know what I mean? Basically, the cops couldn't get into the phone quick enough, right? Before the judge suppressed it. Anyway, just a little interesting story, but okay, cool. So based on records from Apple, I think this is iCloud. We'll figure it out. Definitely know it's not being inside your phone. Now, keep in mind, you can send text messages that won't be on iCloud. Y'all know how iCloud works. I don't got to give y'all like a crash course on that, but some pictures might not save to iCloud. Some people have that setting where like you take a picture, it just backs up to the cloud. Some people might not have that option, right? So you're going to need to get in the actual phone to see what's on the device, but some shit might get to iCloud, and I guess that's part of the Fed's way of getting around it. Yeah, anyway, I know on that same day, a number ended in 999595, also believed to be associated with Banks, sent a text message to Co-conspirator 3 stating, don't book no flights under names involved with me. Based on a review of hotel records, I know that Grant, which is OTF Vonnie, paid for a room at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City. Now, let's get to 4, because 4, where's 4 actually? 4, yeah. So this is where we get to find out what info. Oh, my bad, I can't see it. I apologize for that. This is where you get to see the information for Apple right here. So 4, you read the footnote. It says facts associating this number with Banks, including Co-conspirator 3. So this is how they know it's his number. And Grant saving this number with the contact names associated with Banks, which is Durk. And Durk self-identifying using this number in a February 2022 text message to another individual in Florida unrelated to this investigation. So he texted somebody saying, yo, this is Durk. You know what I'm saying? All right, cool. But we didn't get to iCloud stuff yet, so all right, whatever. So based on the hotel records, I know that Grant rented and paid for a room at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, California on August 18, 2022, using an American Express card in Banks' name ending in 1015. All right? Damn. What? Looked like he was using Durk's. The car was in Durk's name? No fucking way. Anyway. Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator 2 stayed at the hotel the night before the co-conspirator stalked and attempted to kill Quando. Based on a review of the bank records, now they're into your bank records, 2039 and 1015 credit cards were issued under an account belonging to OA and Astronaut Sounds LLC. Based on public information, I was about to Google it, I know that OA was Durk's OA was Banks' manager in and around 2022. Okay. All right. Georgia's Secretary of State online corporation records show that Astronaut Sounds LLC was initially registered to OA in 2017. The request of the amendment that was filed in 2021 and a new manager, Banks was added to the business. The bank records also show that Astronaut Sounds American Express account had 4 credit cards issued to 4 individuals. Banks, co-conspirator 3. Chat, you know, I'll tell you why I paused. I'll be open instead of being like mad cryptic. OA is the manager that I was dealing with. Because I was wondering, I was like, I hope he's not co-conspirator 3. Thank God he's not co-conspirator 3. So the manager I was dealing with for the interview, and the manager who I still talk to, the manager I even texted yesterday, that's OA, like 100%, right? But I remember reading this, I was like, I hope he's not like one of them. So he's not, all right. So OA is not, okay. So, but still, co-conspirator seems like a guy who does, or a woman who does booking. So we got to figure out who co-conspirator 3 is. But OA, his manager, he's clean. Bet. A request, so he had a business account, he added Durk as a manager, and that became pretty much the OTF account that they would book shit from. Okay, cool. Bank records show that they had an American Express account with 4 credit cards issued to Banks, co-conspirator 3, Banks' father, okay, which is DB. Let me see. Lil Durk father name. Dante Banks. Okay, Big Durk. So this is Big Durk. Okay, cool. And OA, which is the manager. Based on the review of the records from the private airplane company, I know that Banks and Grant flew on the same airplane from LA to Miami on August 16, 2022, and back to Los Angeles on August 18, the day before Lil Pop's murder. Records from a rental company show Banks manager OA rented a house in Encino, California from July 2022 to July 1st, 2022 to August. I can't even speak. You know, what the fuck? I'm like processing and reading, and it's fucking me up. I'm sorry, chat. Records from a rental property show that Banks manager OA rented a house in Encino, California from July to October. Based on the investigators' review of the photographs of the interior of the Encino rental, I know that video footage from a August 18, 2022 podcast. Nah, that was Nelk. No, but this was on a boat. This was on a boat, right? Nah, this is on a boat. What other podcast did he do? No, it's not me. It's not me, fool. We did our interview at the Waldorf, bro. Waldorf Astoria. It's not me, stupid. Look at y'all. Did he do another interview? I'm trying to figure out what interview. Yo, y'all trolling me. Did Durk do another interview? It's not Gillian Wallow. That was years before. And that was done in like Chicago or some shit. Does anybody know? It was an unreleased interview. It wasn't $1 million worth of game. It wasn't me. I think it was a white podcast or something like that. It wasn't no jumper. Oh my God. Impulsive. Oh, wait. Was it? No, I think he went to Impulsive. Now it's not Nelk because Nelk is Wait, did he do Impulsive? Let me look. Durk. No, they never had Durk. Nelk, full send. Durk. Yeah, Durk only did it once, and I was on a boat. You think Complex? Yeah, it probably was. Complex interview Durk. This is 4 years ago. No, not that. What about this? This is 2023. Don't ask why I obsess over small details, chat. Don't ask. Okay, I don't know. All right. It was an Ebro interview? No, it wasn't. Ebro. Big Bank? Nah. Yeah, this was in June. But this is not at the house. I'm trying to figure out what house they're talking about. I know that the video footage is from August 18th. By the way, this is a day before. So I guess he was going to LA to do a podcast. And the day before, when he's doing a podcast, they're finding Quando Rondo trying to kill him. That's crazy. Title podcast. Title podcast. I don't know. Maybe that interview never came out. August 18. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody knows, right? He did one with the desk on Apple. Now, this said they like came to a house, an Airbnb he was staying at. The reason why I'm trying to look at it is to see, like, you know, like the background and shit and see what was going on. You think it was no. It can't be with Ebro because the Ebro shit was in June. This shit says July. No, it says August. Lil Durk 2022 interview. Yeah, it's not this. I don't know. Genuinely don't know. What about this? Nah, this ain't it. Nick Cannon interview? Nick Cannon, Lil Durk. Nah, this is after. I think he still had those colored dreads. I think I don't know. All right, anyway, we'll figure it out. So apparently, based on investigators' reviews of the photographs inside of the home, the Encino rental. Hold on. The Encino rental. I know that video footage from an August 2022 podcast shows the host of the podcast with Banks, where Banks appears to be inside the Encino house. Yeah, we'll figure it out later. Okay. On the day of the murder, which is the next day, surveillance shows Quando, Lil Pop, and others leave their hotel in LA in a black Cadillac Escalade. And the surveillance video taken from numerous locations throughout LA, including TB's hotel, at the gas station where the murder occurred, showed that the vehicle followed the Escalade for hours. Damn, for hours? Oh my God, they followed the nigga for hours before the shoot. One vehicle was a white BMW, and the other one was a white Infiniti. Among other things, the surveillance video from the murder scene shows murder vehicle 2 parked in an alley behind the gas station where 3 shooters wearing black masks exit the vehicle, later identified as Jones, Lindsay, and Co-conspirator 2, walked to the gas station and then opened fire on the Escalade. The shooters then ran back to the murder vehicle 2 and drove away. Murder vehicle 1 drove away from the area just minutes before the shooting. Approximately 50 minutes after the shooting, surveillance from the In-N-Out restaurant in L.A. shows Grant, Jones, and Wilson arrive in murder vehicle 1. The vehicle... So Grant, Jones, and Wilson... Okay. The vehicle, or the video shows Lindsay, co-conspirator, arriving in and out in a black SUV. So they ditched the car. They ditched the car, clearly. Yeah. So one of the shooters, I think Jones, hops in the white car with them, and then these other 2, Lindsay and co-conspirator, get in a black SUV. So they try to switch cars, y'all. They try to switch cars. So they got rid of the white car. Jones, who was a shooter, hops in the car with Grant and so OTF Vonnie and OTF Didi, and then the other dudes hop in a black SUV. So they must have had a black SUV just waiting somewhere. They hop in a black SUV, and it said based on comparison of surveillance video showing the murder video from the In-N-Out restaurant, law enforcement identified. And by the way, let me just read this, which is 5. Where is 5? Anyway, it says, based on the investigation, Grant was the primary driver of murder vehicle 1. As discussed above, in addition to driving the vehicle, Grant took steps to help facilitate the murder, including booking the hotel room for the hitman. Additional GPS data associated with murder vehicle 1 shows that the vehicle was parked outside the sporting goods store at approximately the time that 4 black ski masks matching the appearance of body. Oh, chat, your car snitching on you. Additionally, GPS data associated with the vehicle shows that the vehicle... Don't tell me, nigga, it wasn't a Tesla. I guess it was he was driving the BMW. BMW, like, will track your steps like that? I thought only Teslas did that. Additionally, GPS data from the murder vehicle 1 shows that the vehicle was parked outside the sporting goods store at approximately the time when 4 black ski masks matching the appearance of those used by the shooters were purchased. Okay, cool. And it says that Lindsay, Jones, and Co-conspirator 2 were the ones that opened fire and killed Pop. A few hours after the shooting, Jones, Lindsay, Houston, Wilson, Co-conspirator 2 boarded a flight from San Diego to Chicago. Once again, the credit card was in the name of Co-conspirator 3 that was used to pay for the one-way tickets. Banks books multiple international flights after law enforcement arrests multiple co-conspirators and executed search warrant at locations associated with OTF members. I know the following based on my conversation with other law enforcement agents involved in the investigation and my personal involvement in the investigation. In the early hours of October 24, 2024, law enforcement officers arrested Grant Jones, Lindsey Wilson in Houston and executed multiple search warrants in the co-conspirator 2 is either locked up already or he's snitching. Or he might be locked up and snitching. See, they arrested everybody. They don't mention co-conspirator 2. So they executed a bunch of search warrants in the Chicago area, including a warrant to search the home of co-conspirator 3. Okay, so co-conspirator 3 telling. Yeah, it's telling. If you only book some flights and the feds kick the door off the hinges and search your spot, and they say, hey, listen, we think you might not be down with the plan, but you did book these flights, you got to snitch. Or else you're going to be charged in this indictment. You're snitching, right? So they executed a search warrant on the home of co-conspirator 3, who booked the flights. And this is why we think that co-conspirator 2 is locked up and already telling. Co-conspirator 3, who's just a booker, but she's already telling. Shortly after making these arrests and executing the search warrant on October 24, the FBI received notification from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, they're going to call it, showing that Banks had been booked as a passenger on 2 international flights. One, a flight from Miami to Dubai, which is in the United Arab Emirates, which is UAE, and it would be doing a connecting flights from Doha, Qatar. It was scheduled to depart the evening of October 24 and a one-way flight from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland. Wow, Fort Lauderdale, Switzerland. Jesus Christ. Connecting via New Jersey. You can see these are last-minute bookings because there's connecting flights, and you can tell they are commercial flights because what private jet does connecting, right? So these are commercial flights, okay? Let's see. Also scheduled to depart early in the evening of October 24. Banks did not board the flight either, okay? So essentially, he booked 2 flights and board. It said, based on open research, I believe that the UAE does not have bilateral extradition treaty with the United States. Let me look at this. UAE extradition treaty with the U.S. Let's Google it and let's see. The United States and United Arab Emirates, the United States and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, have a bilateral extradition treaty that expands the ability to extradite people and provide legal assistance. The treaty also includes agreements on interrogating suspects, seizing goods, and examining bank accounts. Okay, so it appeared that 2 years ago they signed a bilateral agreement enhancing law enforcement cooperation. So the UAE said, based on open source research, I believe that they don't have one. It's literally on justice.gov that they do. So I don't know. This agent looked like they might be misinformed based on their research, but okay. And then, so that was the one to Dubai, and then the other one was going to Switzerland. It says extradition to and from the United States. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Okay, cool. All right, let's look for Switzerland though. Extradition treaty, Switzerland, USA. The United States and Switzerland have an extradition treaty that was signed in Washington in 1990. The treaty main purpose is to standardize and update the conditions and procedures for extradition between 2 countries. It's also significantly expanded to the number of extraditable offense. The treaty requires Switzerland to grant extradition in the following circumstances: that the offense is punishable under Switzerland's own law, the victim or person sought is a U.S. national. Now, so this is one of those, like, probably technicalities. The United States have so many laws on the books that, again, murder is a crime in every country, but we don't know about Switzerland's murder for hire clause, which is, hey, you didn't do the killing, but we think you paid for the killing. So I don't know what their laws is on that. So technically, if they don't have a law saying that that's a crime in Switzerland, if Durk went there, they wouldn't extradite him. Now, we could Google it and see if they would. Murder for hire, Switzerland. Is that okay, we're not going to see much. We got to look at their laws, though. Yeah, we're probably not going to find it just because of all the Durk stuff. Anyway, it's all good. Cool. All right. We're still going to take, even the one to UAE. UAE has a whole different set of statutes that, again, if it's not a crime there, they wouldn't extradite as well. So even though it says there's a treaty, the treaty usually says if we deem that what you're trying to get that person extradited for is a crime in our country, we'll send him there. If not, there is a gray area or some type of protection. Okay. Anyway, Banks did not board the flight to either Dubai or the flight to Switzerland. Okay. It says at approximately 6:40 p.m., the FBI received an additional CBP, which is, the Border Patrol people, notification that Banks had been booked as a passenger on a private plane departing from Miami, destined for Italy. Now, I think Italy definitely has some bilateral extradition laws, USA. They probably definitely do. They have a bilateral extradition treaty that allows the extradition of people charged with or found guilty of extraditable offenses. Again, the offense must be punishable by a custodial sentence of more than a year. Obviously, murder would be, or a more severe penalty under the laws of both countries. Now, obviously, I would think murder for hire would be law there. Switzerland, we kind of be thinking it's a hazy, but Italy is kind of more like the U.S. in kind of like some laws, right? Anyway, that was scheduled to depart at 9 p.m. Approximately at 8 p.m., Banks was arrested by law enforcement in the vicinity of the departing airport, not hotel. So basically around the corner. So he was close to the airport, which is a private airport, and he was arrested. For all reasons described above, there's a probable cause to believe that Banks violated 18 U.S.C. 1958A, which is conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, resulting in death. Okay. And the magistrate judge has signed off on this, and that is what it is. So this is what he faced, which was a criminal complaint in court today. And what that did is it allowed Durk to get locked up, not be able to flee. The arrest warrant was, signed off on with this complaint, which means that he was arrested. Durk did not seek bail because, number one, a magistrate judge wouldn't grant it. They were going to have to go through a hearing for extradition. He was going to lose that anyway. So he waived his rights to get extradited to California. Now he's going to go to California, and if he's going to try to put up a argument for bail, he's going to do it in front of the magistrate judge there. Now, do I think Durk is going to get bail? Hell no. Like, let's be honest. Like, this is murder for hire. They caught you near the airport where they think you're about to run. You booked 3 flights that were leaving the country. It appears you were trying to get out of Dodge. It's no way they give you, even if he had the $50 million or the real estate that Diddy has, it's no fucking way they grant that in regards to Durk. So that if the current information we know on Durk is going to be that, it's going to probably take a few days to get him. Actually, I could tell you where he is now, even though he's probably being transported. After that court hearing, they probably started the transport. But I could tell you if he's sitting in any type of county jail or federal holding facility that's respected by county jails. I'll tell you that now. He left Broward County really early today to go to court, and let me see. I'll tell you. Yeah. They're saying he's being transferred. So again, we're not too sure exactly where he is. But again, the next time we see him pop up is most likely going to be him in California. Okay. So yeah, unfortunate, but they made sure they gave it's reasonable to say if Durk didn't try to quote unquote run, they would have left him in the free world for a bit, but they would have probably indicted him very soon. So it's not that if he didn't try to leave the country, he would have been free for a long time. It felt like they were just waiting to see if he fucked up or did some crazy shit. But they knew once they announced the indictment on the other guys, it was a stronger possibility that he was going to run. All right. So co-conspirator